I think it's safe to say that we all lie to ourselves sometimes. And they tend to be things that aren't really a big deal in the grand scheme of things. And if you're anything like me, you don't like lying. You don't lie to other people or about other people. But lying to yourself, well, that's different, right? Today I want to share with you my top 10 lies that I tell myself about crochet. And it was hard to narrow it down to just 10. So I don't know how often you lie to yourself about the hobby, but maybe, just maybe, it's more often than you think. I've got to start with my biggest one, and it is that I'll stop at the end of this round. I sit down and I pick up the thing that I'm making, and I've got other stuff that I'm meant to be doing, and I'm like, I'll just do 1 round, or I'll just do 3 rounds, and then I'll stop. Or like, okay, it's getting late, I need to go to bed. I will stop at the end of this round. It's not true. It was never true. I think I believed me-ish when I said it, but I'll stop at the end of this round. That's one of the biggest lies that I tell myself. Crochet is a cheap hobby. When I made this statement to my husband, he laughed and said there's no such thing as a cheap hobby. And I thought, well, he's wrong, isn't he? Because jogging's a cheap hobby. And then I thought about when I was running quite a lot and the running shoes that I had to have. And then the pandemic and I bought a treadmill. That certainly wasn't cheap. But crochet, you can start it cheaply. You can get some cheap acrylic yarn. You can use scissors that you've got and get a cheap set of hooks. You can definitely start crocheting cheaply. But to say it's a cheap hobby from there on in, which I still do to myself, it's actually nonsense because, yeah, you can buy cheap yarn, but I'm not going to just buy cheap yarn. If it's within my budget, I'll get the more expensive yarn, and things that you think only, well, a skein of yarn is only like X number of pounds or dollars, but then you need like 73 of them to complete the project if you're making a blanket, or if I'm making a toy, then I need several different types of yarn for the one toy, so then that's like your $3 yarn times 5. Crochet could be a cheap hobby, but in my experience and for the friends that I have who do the same hobby, it's anything but cheap. Which neatly ties to the next lie I tell myself. I look at something and I'm like, well, I could crochet that myself for less. Categorically, if the thing that I've seen is in like a big store, there is no way that I'm gonna crochet that myself for less. For a start, any garment or blanket or anything that you make takes a billion balls of yarn, and then your time has a value to it. Crochet is not quick, especially not if you're making big stuff or fiddly stuff. And when you add that together to the cost of the yarn and the very nice hooks that you just had to have, you're never gonna actually make that garment as cheaply as they're selling it in a shop. Now, it might be true if you see it on like a market stall where it's bespoke, beautiful, handmade item. You could make that yourself for cheaper. But am I going to? Probably not. Also, then there's the whole ethical thing of like, if they're selling crochet clothes for much cheaper than you could make it, how much are they paying the person who crocheted it? Because there's no crochet machine. I do this next one constantly. I tell myself I am not going to buy any more yarn this month. I have loads of yarn on my shelves of different sizes and colours, and I'm like, right, this is out of hand. I need to use up some of my supply before I buy something new. Then I want to make a toy that really, it just needs to be a specific colour palette to be perfect, right? Then we come on to the next lie, which is that I literally need to buy that yarn. Honestly, I tell myself this like it's not something that I want. It is something that I need. I need that yarn because it's ideal for X project, or I need that yarn because it's just too beautiful. I can't think of a real literal life emergency situation where I have literally needed yarn, but you know, who knows, it could crop up. I frequently tell myself that crochet as a hobby, one of the massive benefits of it is it's portable. And I mean, I can move it. It's a lie. It's more of a mistruth, this one. Crochet is portable. It's not really true. I take my crochet equipment in the car relatively often if my husband is driving, obviously. And I put it in a big bag by my feet. And the bag is big, even if the thing I'm making is small, because I need the yarn and the toy stuffing and the options for safety eyes and some scissors and all of my hooks in case I change my mind about the size. So it can be done. I have crocheted in hospital waiting rooms, outdoors in my garden, and it can be done, but it is not as practically portable as I would like myself to believe. For me, I tell myself I'm not going to start any new designs until I've finished all the ones that I'm currently working on. And I bet you're the same if you don't design for like purchasing or downloading a pattern. We tell ourselves, yeah, I'm gonna finish this before I go on to the next thing. It's not true. We're not gonna do it. I'm not gonna finish it. Are you? I mean, one day I will, I'm sure, but no, I'm gonna start that 7th ongoing design because it's part of the fun. Right? A lie that I tell myself quite frequently about crochet projects is that I'm nearly finished. And this is so common for me with blankets or like home decor or garment things, because I think that I've got less of a good gauge on when I'm near the end. And I'm like, yeah, I'm nearly finished. When in fact I might be 36 rows in, but I've got 12 left and then I've got to sew in all the ends. So I'm not nearly finished, actually, am I? I want that sense of nearly finished satisfaction, but it's actually a lie. And finally, I don't know if this is for you or just for me. And I know a couple of people have agreed with me on social media in the past, but not very many. But the biggest lie that I tell myself about crochet is that it's relaxing. I so want to be someone who literally does find it relaxing, and there is no question that I find it fun and engaging and sometimes exciting, especially when I'm designing. It brings me joy, but does it bring me relaxation? Almost never. Even when I'm doing something that I can do without engaging my brain at all, that is on road, for example, corner to cornering, which is something that I'm doing quite a lot this week, just working on something that I don't have to think about very much. I don't think I'm relaxed when I'm doing it because I'm aware of, you know, little things that are distracting me. I'm aware of counting each group. I'm aware of when the yarn frays slightly or catches slightly and doesn't look as perfect. Even when I'm trying to make something that is just for me, and this blanket I'm making at the moment it's for me. One of my children has already tried to claim it. He cannot have it. It is mine. I'm making a corner-to-corner blanket at the moment, and I'm removing myself for the complexities and the bits that were stressing me out a bit, and I am still not relaxed. So for me, that's number one. My number one absolute biggest crochet lie that I tell myself is that crochet is relaxing. But what about you? Are there any lies that you tell yourself about the hobby that you wish that you truly believed, but actually, you know, aren't so based in reality? Share them in the comments section and I'll chat to you there. Happy crocheting.